Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday Tier Talk, but for this show, it's the day after the night before. But we've got plenty to get into tonight. Joining me, as always, my co-host on the show, as always, Rock's up here. Win, lose, or draw. We had the conversation last night. You've been here all season. It's been a slog for you, kid.
It's not been easy, but we keep showing up. What's the good friend of mine once told me? It's the hope that kills you.
That's it. But there you go. So we will be, folks, we will give you a Premier League preview, the final weekend of the Premier League there. That's been a long journey as well for us, all the way back to last August. And I think United, did United kick off that Friday night against Fulham?
We nicked a late one against Fulham. Joshua Zirkzee with the winner, if I remember rightly. We got the old tumble and the and all like that. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to talk, obviously, about last night. We'll talk about the actual match itself.
Do we have to?
Well, we'll have to touch on it. I don't think it'll be a long conversation about the match, in fairness. But we'll also touch on some of the comments that came out after it. We'll get your thoughts on that as well. And then we'll get your overriding thoughts on what your expectation is now with everything that you know now heading into the summer and stuff, what you expect to happen and what you think might happen. We're also going to touch on the Championship playoff final. Going to get your prediction for that, of course. And what else we got? We got League of Ireland, we got the Premier League, Premier Division and Division 1. But I want to start off with a picture, and I know it doesn't help you really, but I want to start off with a picture.
Great.
That Bleacher Report did it. I thought it was a cool picture in terms of football, not in terms of.
I haven't seen it yet, so I won't know. Go on, let's see.
And I'm not rubbing at in here. That's for sure.
Well,
right?
you know.
But I thought that was cool.
Listen, I'm delighted for the lads. I'm actually a big fan of both of them. And it looked like when Harry left, they would fall. Hey Baz, they would fall into things. It would be a little bit tougher for Spurs to get over the line. Obviously, missing out on Kane and stuff like that. But they've managed to do it. They managed to get over the line. They managed to get their own trophy. Harry got his hands on a bit of silverware. Spurs won a bit of silverware. There's a happy ending for everybody other than me and my team.
Yeah. But I think when you see a picture like this, you can kind of appreciate it.
Yeah, it's cool.
These two boys have had an awful lot of slinging thrown at them and stuff like that.
Do you know what I'm gonna steal from that? Because I can steal part of that, right?
Yeah.
And I can say I got something right. Because there was a lot of people at the start of the season saw Vincent Kompany get a job at Bayern Munich and said he'll be sacked by Christmas. And I said, I don't think he will, He'll win the league. And people said, no, he won't win the league. And I said, I think you find he will. So delighted for Vincent Kompany to bring the Bundesliga trophy back to Bayern. That's a huge job, a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. And he's done a great job. He really has. And I'm interested to see what he can do over the next few years at Bayern and what trophies and silverware he can bring and what kind of team he can build there. Because I don't think he's that far away from a really big job either, Vincent Kompany. Now, I know Bayern Munich is a huge job, but I don't think he's that far away from a real big job. If he's another couple of good seasons at Bayern and they're in the Champions League shake-up and stuff like that, I think all of a sudden Vincent Kompany's name might be up in lights, especially with the manner in which they do things.
Do you mean like a big job back in the Prem?
Quite possibly.
Okay.
Quite possibly at the blue half of Manchester.
Oh, interesting.
I think he's a ready-made successor for Pep Guardiola. Yeah, and with some of the comments that have come out from Guardiola in the last couple of days, I think Vincent Kompany is doing himself no harm in the job he's doing at Bayern Munich.
I've seen another good graphic today. This is mad, isn't it? When you think about it.
I did hear this today, and I don't know this to be true. Is it the Chinese Year of the Bird? Is that correct?
No idea. I have no idea.
I'm going to check because I did hear it. Obviously, we've got Liverpool, the Live Bird. we've the Magpies, we've the Eagles at Palace, and we have the Cockerel at Spurs. I did hear this earlier. I think it was Darmish Shet on Sky Sports was talking about it. Now, as far as I remember, he mentioned it was the year of the bird. So maybe it was just 2025 Chinese year.
I would have to say whoever put this graphic together probably has never really seen a magpie, because that magpie that's there looks like a kestrel.
Yeah, well, he probably didn't pick the best.
No, I would go as far as to say the cockerel on the end looks more like a magpie than the magpie. However, yeah.
Right, hang on. We're just getting through this 1918. What year are we in?
2025.
No, it's the year of the snake. So we got that wrong. He might have just been mentioning it in reference to this. I thought he meant it was the Chinese year of the bird, but I may have picked him up wrong on that. But very cool. And we did talk about, if you just put the graphic back up for a second, we did talk about, Newcastle were the first domino in this as well. Not in the Magpie, but obviously Newcastle turning over Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final, which led to Palace turning over City, which led to Spurs turning over United maybe. And we spoke last week about how if Palace won the weekend, would that give Spurs a huge amount of belief that we can be and listen, that's what happened. That's what happened. So yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Did you notice anything else about the graphic?
They've got the cups wrong.
Correct.
They've got the cups wrong. Yeah, they sure do. Newcastle and Crystal Palace have the wrong cups.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Come on in. Look, he's here for me today. This lad's here for me now. Palace won the FA Cup, not Newcastle. Where'd you get this? I just pulled it down off Winter Graham. Don't be getting too.
Is this Christian Romero's biggest fan?
This is Spurs' biggest chest coming out now.
Do you know what? Graham, Spurs in particular, but Graham takes an awful lot of stick being a Spurs fan. An awful lot of stick. And he's been on here quite a number of times, and he's had to sit through absolute, drivel and torture. So as a fan of a football club who knows what it's like going through that at the minute, Graham, I hope you enjoy your moment in the sun, pal, and bask in that glory, brother, all right?
How nice is that now? How nice is that?
That kind of guy,
How nice is that? You got to appreciate that, Graham. You got to appreciate that now.
Graham's a good guy. I like Graham. Graham is a good guy.
One of our own.
Absolutely he is.
Right, what do you want to begin with? Do you want to begin with the Prem, or do you want to talk about last night?
Nah, let's get last night out of the way. Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Right. We'll throw this up here. This is some of the quotes that came out. But we'll talk, first of all, before we get into that, take us through the match and give us a quick breakdown. What you think happened, what you think could have happened. Is there anywhere you would have changed United's approach? How did you feel about the start?
I'll actually, if it's okay, I'm going to get you to go through the quotes because they kind of lead in to something I'm going to talk about, if that's okay, yeah?
Cool, yeah, I'll go through them now. I have to hand it to Ange, backed up what he said. Yeah, he did.
Absolutely did.
Right, the first one that was, and these are kind of alarming, and maybe they might be reactionary and quite disappointing and stuff like that as well. Right, we start off with Ruben Amorim. In this moment, it's a little bit of fate, so let's see. I'm always open. If the board and the fans feel I'm not the right guy, I will go in the next day without any conversation about compensation, but I will not quit. I'm really confident about my job, and as you can see, I will not change anything in the way I do things. Ruben Amorim. Do you want me to do the other two as well, or do you want to?
No, I'll touch on that first because.
Yeah, cool.
I saw an interview with Luke Shaw. You may or may not have seen it.
No.
And Luke Shaw, he was one of the designated players from United to come out and talk after the final last night. We have media duties to do after these finals, whether you win or whether you lose, and there needs to be reactions from both sides. And Luke Shaw was the player that decided he was going to go out and put his hand up for that. So that was great.
He's probably your most senior player at this stage, is he?
He'd be certainly close, all right. Yeah. He would. Yeah. And I absolutely loved what he came out and said. And he said, I got to be honest, he said, I've been at this club a long time. He said, and I've seen a lot of managers come in the door and go out the door. He said, I can tell you categorically, Ruben Amorim is the right man to take us back to where we want to go. Now, I'm not sure if Luke Shaw has to say that. I don't think with the position Luke Shaw's in and with, the likelihood of him
being
probably exiting, being a
Yeah.
part of that, I don't think he has to go too far into that. But it did strike me he was being quite genuine in the moments. And he was like, from what I've seen, from the way he talks to us, from what we do in training, this guy knows what he's doing. And we need to, as Amorim spoke about, and I suppose that some of that has been taken out of context a little bit, they asked him to explain why he should still be in charge.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I'm not going to sit here and give you reasons why. He says there is a little bit of faith behind it. And you will have to understand that everything's a process, but I'm not going to break it down as to why we didn't win and what we need to do better and blah, blah, blah. He said, but, I feel like I have the ability and I have the right ideas to bring to the table for this job, especially after, the kind of 6 months he's had and the baptism of fire and stuff like that. So I think for me, we'll just touch on what Morris said. I don't even have a conversation in my head here about whether he stays or whether he goes. Like, in Ruben Amorim, we trust and we have to now put our faith in him and say, right, like Anne said, I win stuff. I feel like this is my way of doing things. I'm not going to veer away from it, but I will get the job done. Daniel Levy could have pulled the trigger many occasions over this season. And it might have just been at the back of his mind and he said, you know what, I'm just going to let this fella fall on his sword. And I just kept going. And Ange spoke about how in January he spoke to the club and said, listen, league form's not where it needs to be. If we're going to win anything, we're going to focus on the Europa. And he said the club weren't necessarily in agreement, but he said, I think this is what we should do. And he said he got a certain amount of backing from the club to go and put that at the forefront of what they were trying to do. And it paid off. And I think sometimes if you've picked somebody to do a job, you need to give them the opportunity to do that job. I don't feel like we've given Ruben Amorim the opportunity or the resources to do the job that he wants to do. He did tell us when he came in at first, he said, can I take the job in the summer? And United said, no, you got to take it now.
No,
I think he knew he needed at least a summer window to get the kind of rollover in the players that he would need in order to put a foot forward in the direction that he would want it. So I think, given the fact we told him you're gonna have to come now or you don't get the job in the future, we have to now back him, roll out the summer window for him what he wants, and we'll make a judgment by Christmas on how things are going and whether it should continue or not.
Okay, just a question for you because you're backing him, right?
Uh-huh.
What have you seen? Because obviously coaching is a big part of this, okay?
Yeah.
And obviously there's a huge change here in terms of what he's trying to do. It's a huge, and Dan Ashworth kind of fell on his sword in what he said at the time. He wasn't overly in favour of Ruben Amorim coming in, and he wasn't sure that the club had the financial ability to make the change and tear it up and make that change that he wanted to do. And that was the talk at the time. From your point of view, if you come into this summer, Ruben Amorim going in, he's probably going to have to spend north of 250 million, I would think, at least, with what's going out the door and what needs to come in. Maybe more, okay?
I don't think he's going to have more. I think there's going to be an awful lot of... I think recruitment is going to be huge here. There's obviously going to be a certain amount of money outlaid. As you said, I would imagine we're probably going between 200 and 250 million. That's where I would see things.
Yeah.
On the basis that the contracts that are leaving the club, the wages you're getting off the books, and then your regular transfer budget and stuff like that, I would imagine we're somewhere between 2 and 250 million.
Well,
now, the problem is...
The talk that came out today was they have 100 million plus whatever they sell.
Plus player sales.
Yeah. So, and you would think there if you've got like, you've got Rashford.
Well, I mean, between Rashford, Anthony, and Sancho, you should be recouping 100 million.
At least, yeah.
You should be recouping 100 million.
So
and then
that has you two.
That has you two. And then you've obviously got a few little crown jewels, maybe an Alejandro Garnacho or possibly a Kobbie Mainoo.
Or potentially a Bruno to the Saudi League as well.
Or if they... I don't think they'll do the Bruno thing.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they will.
But then if you look at the comment, and we haven't come to it yet, but if you look at that comment and you come to it, like it kind of sounds like he wants to go somewhere that's kind of...
I don't think that's what he said. That's not... I think that context is important here. They spoke to him about, being at the club and whatever, and he said he could understand if the club needed to cash in on him. But he said his goal has always been to stay at the club and to bring success to the club. That's only a snippet of what was actually said.
The talk that was going around today was that the 100 million, say for argument's sake, just to make the numbers easy, that you missed out on because of the Champions League, might be the 100 million that comes from him going to Saudi to fill that void that didn't happen.
Could be, but it could also be Garnacho and Mainoo. Because don't forget, we paid money for Fernandes, where the two boys are academy graduates, so it's pure profit, which means, plus, if you look at things at the minute, the likelihood is if, if the lap comes in the door and plays as your 9, and Fernandes plays as the right side of 10, and Cunha comes in and plays as the left side of 10, you've possibly got 60 million quid's worth of Garnacho sitting on a bench who ain't going to be happy. So I think it's more going to be about what fits into the system.
So
Bruno fits into the system, and Garnacho doesn't necessarily fit into the system.
The only thing is that the thoughts of selling off your key gems, your youth that have come through. And
Garnacho didn't come through. No, we bought Garnacho from Atletico Madrid. Yeah. So and he's made it very, very clear. And by the way, I'm going to come to Garnacho in a second because I actually feel like he was extremely hard done by last night.
Yeah. We have to go there. We'll go through it.
So we will. I'm not getting on Garnacho at all. I just feel like with the manager and with the idea he has around what he wants to do, if you're looking at a figurehead and a number 9 put in there, a Liam Delap or whoever it's going to be, and you have a Fernandes and a Cunha behind that, I don't think there's more space in the team for an Alejandro Garnacho.
You think? Here's a question for you. Do you think that let's put a time frame on this? Are we talking 2 years, 3 years rebuild?
So from now, you've got 2 windows a season. You've got the summer window and the winter window. So I think you need 4 windows. 2 summer windows, 2 winter windows. So it's a 2-year plan.
2 years.
So I think from what I believe, the goals are set at top 6 this season coming, top 4 the season after, and then win the league, and a 2028, and a tilt at 2028. Yeah. That's
so from that. And
I don't think that's completely unachievable.
Not if you have the right people and you have the right recruitment and you have the financial wherewithal to do it, and everyone gets behind what the process is. Because we heard even last night from the venue, from the event that was put on for the staff that didn't go to the final. I heard today that when Ratcliffe came on the screen, a load of them booed him. So, but that's neither here nor there, you know what I mean? But
I mean, you got to remember, paper ain't going to refuse ink. We don't know what happened at that gig last night. That
was one of the stories that came out. But
of course, but I mean, it's probably something shite to come out on X from a fucking waiter in, who's getting paid £8 an hour and told he could make a story and I'm not going to buy into it.
Here's a question for you. If you reckon it's going to be 3 years before you're really humming and challenging, right?
Yeah.
Is it better to keep? Obviously, Garnacho's a different situation, but is it better to keep your players that are going to be coming nearly into their prime years at that stage? Your Garnacho, your Mainus, these type of players, like Bruno Fernandes at that stage will probably be finished.
Here's the two things you have to remember. Number one, we don't know what the ceiling is like for Garnacho and Mainu. They're much, much younger, right? We're making an educated guess that the ceilings are extremely high. We've seen players come and not reach their potential 100 million times. We don't know where they're going to get to. Now, at the minute, optically, neither of these two boys fit into his squad, or they don't fit into his team and his system. Garnacho has struggled to get game time. He's played when other players have been injured. Mainu has played very little since Amron has come in the door. So neither of them really fit in a different system, though.
Yeah, but how good was he last season?
And again, certain managers are going to look for certain things out of certain players. There's, and I said it before, I've been in a team where, a manager came in and I was captain of the team and he didn't like me. And he sent me somewhere else and wanted me to play Saturday football. And I had to play Saturday football until he left the building, in which place I came back in. I got my band back and everyone that just happens,
No, the reason I'm asking the question is because
the thing about Bruno Fernandes is, and this is the thing you got to realize, in order for us to get top 6 this year coming and top 4 the year after, we need Bruno Fernandes to be absolutely at it, and he ain't going to be able to do that if he's in Saudi sunning his nuts.
So this is the Mo Salah conundrum that we had last summer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because I just wonder, when you think about
we can't sell the best player we have in our team, and Bruno Fernandes is by an absolute country mile the best player we have in our team. The other two boys have the two big differences with both of the boys is neither look like they fit into the system and the team as much as we might like them as players and as fans and stuff. The other thing is they also have pure profit attached to them, because they're down as homegrown footballers, which then brings us to, how the system maybe isn't right. That United might need to look to sell their youth in order to put themselves in a better position where they can keep somebody like Bruno Fernandes because they paid money for him. That's,
Darren would even back me on this. United need 2 keepers, not 1 keeper.
Absolutely.
2 keepers.
Absolutely.
And a matter of fact, you could go as far as to say they need 3 keepers.
Well, the talk is Tom Heaton is leaving.
Yeah.
Tom Heaton will leave, and this weekend will be his last game.
Yeah.
And the talk is that we're going to replace him with a guy called Freddie Woodman. Freddie Woodman is the Preston North End keeper. He will be our third choice keeper. He would be a very minimal fee. I think he was at Newcastle at one stage. So he has a little bit of pedigree. He's gone and played in the Championship. He's been a decent keeper in the Championship. He will come in as the third choice. You will lower the wages and you will have very little of an outlay. The issue is, I think, with Baynder, he wants to play games. And at the moment, you can't guarantee him games because we don't have him in the pecking order ahead of Onana. So Baynder will probably look to leave with the World Cup or the Euros on the horizon. And then you've got Onana, who simply can't play anymore because of the difficulties he's had. So he has to go.
Philip said he heard Tom Heaton is staying.
I'm pretty sure Heaton announced a few weeks ago that he was leaving.
You said that on another podcast.
He did. He did.
Yeah, we shall see. It's going to be interesting. It's certainly going to be a huge shake-up and stuff like that.
I got to tell you, and I am surprised at this, with all the upheaval at the club over the last 18 months, I am surprised we didn't see more of Tom Heaton. Don't sleep on Tom Heaton. Tom Heaton is a very good, solid goalkeeper. And one thing we've needed is a bit of solidity at the back. Somebody who the lads behind don't need to look at and say, oh shit, what's he going to do today? And for that reason, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Tom Heaton.
Yeah.
The issue has always been, you go, we'll talk. The issue has always been Heaton isn't as good with his feet, maybe, as the other keepers. He's not as good as being there with his feet, and he's not as good as Onana with his feet. He's more of an old school goalkeeper. But I don't see it as a huge issue at the moment, because our big issue is we got to stop goals going in. And as much as the build up from the back would help us, it won't help us in just saving shots. You know, so that's why I think Heaton probably should have played a little bit more.
Yeah. I suppose there's an opportunity on Sunday, isn't there, to give some of these boys minutes on the send-off and stuff like that. Who's likely? Christian Eriksen.
Eriksen is gone and Lindelof is gone. Johnny
so,
Evans will likely go.
Yeah.
Tom Heaton will go. And then you're looking at, obviously, the three lads that aren't in the building. Your Rashford, Sancho, and Anthony. That's 7. And then you've possibly 1 or 2 more. I know they're talking about Rasmus Højlund being available. And apparently there's a lot of interest from Italy for him. Because obviously he had a stint at Atalanta. And there's a lot of teams in Italy that are relatively high on him and would like to have him at their clubs. And maybe, you know, there's a deal can be done there where we get Højlund out of the building and we don't damage the PSR too badly, and we can kind of keep the ball rolling on things. That would be the best case scenario in that situation for us.
Sorry about that.
The mascot's causing mayhem this evening, isn't he?
Yes, he has issues. He has separation issues. He stands up here quite a bit. He's a beauty, though. He's right here beside me on the podcast. Right here beside me. But he wants to be with his big brother.
Is that Ronnie? Yeah.
No, Ronnie's here. Coda's there. And this is Chewy. So, 3 of them are there now.
3 of them are all there. They're all on the lab.
All there in the lab waiting. He is, Phil. He's a little gem. And he's so good as well, you know what I mean? And took no time to house train him or anything at all, you know. Happy.
I'm going to let you go through the last one for me.
Yeah, Garnacho, this is one you want to touch on. Up until the final, I played every round helping the team. And today I played 20 minutes. I don't know, Garnacho said. And there was a bit more context to it. Then his brother came out, who I think is his agent. Is that right?
I don't think he's the agent, no.
Oh, okay.
But he is still his brother, but he's not the agent.
Yeah.
And he added a bit more fuel to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, I gotta be honest, I think he's absolutely bang on. I looked at and somebody earlier on in the comments said Amarin got a couple of things wrong last night. It might have been Philip himself, was it?
Philip said, right up the top, wasn't it? The tactics.
Yeah, I think he got it wrong. I do think he got it wrong. I think, 100%. I have a few issues, really. If you look at round to round, how we went through the whole competition, we started with Casemiro and Ugarte almost every round. We get to the final, and he drops Fernandes in and removes Ugarte.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, you now have a Mad who barely kicked the ball in most stages, and you've Mount, and you've the 2 lads who didn't play a whole lot together, and I'm going, I don't love this idea at all. So what would I like to have seen? Well, I think the option was to possibly play Ahmad as the right wing back and have Ahmad and Dorgu as the wing backs.
Yeah.
And then play Garnacho and Fernandes in the 2 positions they played for most of the competition behind Højlund, and have Ugarte and Casemiro. And I think he got a little bit cute and he dropped Fernandes deeper, which meant then we didn't have the attacking threat higher up the pitch. So Bruno was picking the ball up very deep, and he 2 banks in front of him, and he wasn't able to do enough. Whereas if he'd have been picking that ball up in between the lines, he may have had an easier job to put something and create something for. So I have to agree with Philip. I think Ruben got a few things wrong last night. Now, listen, show me a manager that hasn't got something wrong. So I'm not holding that against him. But I think it was a strange decision going into a final to change the team as drastically as he did to try and shoehorn lads in. Like he shoehorned Mount in. He shoehorned Ahmad in. Best player of the night, by the way, Ahmad. So I've no issue with it. But let's say you start with Ahmad and Dorgu as the wing backs, and you've got two lads on the front foot, and you got Garnacho who can go in behind on one side, and you got Fernandez who can drop short and pick the ball up and create, and you've got Hoyland. And then you've got the solidity, the two boys in the middle who are just going to sit and shore up. Do we even get to a stage where Spurs are counter-attacking us in the 41st minute and there's nothing there and they run past Casemiro like he wasn't? So the protection and the screen that Ugarte and Casemiro had given us now wasn't there because it was Bruno, and Bruno was trying to be higher while sitting in a deeper position. I think he got it wrong.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing, if you're thinking about Mount, he had a real good game against Bilbao.
He had a good 30 minutes. He only came off the bench.
Yeah, but still.
And he hasn't. Yeah, but and I've spoken about him quite a lot recently because obviously he got dropped with Rashford when Amarin came in. And Garnacho has worked to the point where after Fernandez, he's been one of our most productive players recently. And we come to a game last night, like a final, and boom, we get dropped. And you're like, what's going on here? Just, I don't know. 5 Irish-born. Is that what he said?
Yeah, 5 Irish-born wrestlers on Raw last night. Need a draft for August pronto.
So we got Sheamus, the two boys on Judgment Day, and then Lyra and Becky.
Yep.
Very impressive, isn't it? When you think of the small little island that we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Very impressive.
I have a theory behind it. I'm gonna touch on it very, very quickly. I have a theory behind this. Like, what's to stop any other country having that amount of wrestlers on thing? And I think it only comes down to one thing. I think we've just got such a good work ethic and such a good attitude towards things that dealing with us is quite easy. And I think when you go to the States and you deal with people and you realise the kind of fuckery that goes on and how people make the most basic things very, very easy. I think we're in a position like Triple H's and you go, oh, Irish guy? Oh, he's going to make my life real easy. Come on in the door. And I think that's,
Yeah, and you've got LJ as well as training with CM Punk too. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in there. I suppose the other side of it as well.
Is he absolutely swinging that bat like Babe Ruth, by the way?
I would say so.
He is swinging that bat like Babe Ruth. He looks like the back of a 17A. And he's doing very well for himself in the stakes.
Yeah.
Good on absolutely. You, LJ. That's not a not going against you, pal. Good on you, pal. Fair play to you.
Yeah, I have a lot of time for LJ. Coming into the shop since he was a kid. Great guy. Great guy. Always drops back in as well when he's home. I don't know. It's a tough one to call, isn't it?
We spoke last night before the game kicked off. And I spoke to you about what my hopes and what my expectations were for the game. And listen, I'm not naive here. I understand football is a 50-50 game. At times, it can be like a toss of a coin who's going to win a game. And it's very, very small, fine margins, as it was last night. If a ball goes in almost off Luke Shaw and Spurs get a goal, and then you've down the opposite end of the pitch, Mickey van de Ven winning with a superhuman clearance off the line. That was the big difference in last night for me.
Yeah.
But the big disappointment for me, I suppose, was in the performance. I like, it's a final. I'm all about pride. I'm all about passion. Go and run through a brick wall. It just didn't look like it. We picked the ball up a number of times. And it was just same.
I think
go back, touch, go back, and I'm like, lads, someone be brave here.
Yeah, I called it in the West Ham game and also in the Chelsea game. I think you look banjaxed. I think it's been a real tough slog. These guys have been jogging through quicksand for most of this season. It's been really tough when you're out there playing against teams and you're losing and you're in the media and you're getting hammered week after week after week. You know, eventually you're going to get hit with physical fatigue and mental fatigue and all that stuff that's going on. And that coupled with obviously prioritizing this because the riches from it would have been so huge. And we get that. And also having that route that you had between Sociedad, you know, Bilbao and Leon and the way it got through and stuff like that and all. And having to go again. And even Bruno, a guy who you would normally put your house on in terms of work rate, he looked poleaxed last night. Absolutely wrecked. Dorgu looked absolutely wrecked last night.
I actually thought he was one of our better players, Dorgu.
Absolutely. He kept on running and he kept on going.
And a number of times he was the guy to go back and hook the ball on the tackle, and he won the ball very well.
And the service into him as well was poor as well, because everything was coming into him chest or head height. He was nearly having to do karate kicks to keep balls and play and stuff like that. It was only after a while they started playing the ball on the ground, but it was real sloppy first half.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's just like I just think it's been an exhaustive season for Man United, for the players, for the club, on every single goddamn level. And I think eventually that catches up on you. And look, sometimes you go into these finals as well, and it's not necessarily, and this is not to throw shade at Spurs in any way. Congratulations to them, they did great and all. You can play really, really well, and you're not always the team that wins. You know, like
No.
we if you look at Liverpool, we won in Istanbul where we should have never won. And we got beaten 2 years later by Milan, where we actually played them off the park. It's weird, like, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, then, but it can happen. Is the point you're making? And
absolutely. And you look at even that last one against Real Madrid, where Vinny got the goal. You know what I mean? And like we played so well that night. Courtois was their man of the match. We absolutely battered them at times.
That's right. He was.
But it just sometimes just doesn't go your way. You know?
And I mean, if we want to be honest about it, and I'm all for honesty, you know that. I'll probably have a few people want to have a word with me after I say this, but like, we stole a Champions League in '99. Stole it for the treble. Stole it. We'd been, you know, Basler had hit the post as well as the goal.
Went up the other
We'd
end.
been under the cosh. We were struggling. We created very, very little. And in 3 minutes, we turned the whole thing on its head. So it can happen.
Remember even this season when Ahmad came on against Southampton?
Yeah.
Turned that game around in 10 minutes. What, do you get a hat trick in 10 or 11 minutes or something?
Something. Yeah, that's right. And
So
did you not get two of them or three of them in extra time nearly in that time added on?
Something like that, yeah, absolutely.
Something bonkers,
yeah. It was funny. And like for 70 minutes of that game, Southampton were absolutely balling out, like, you know what I mean? And just till he came on. So yeah, no, it's a weird one, but we'll park it for the moment. Talk to me about obviously what you think is going to happen now in terms of the club and where you think it's going to go. You're nailed on that Amarin's going to stay. So if Amarin's going to stay, where do you think you're going to go? Obviously, you've mentioned some of the players you think are going to go out the door.
Yeah, you know what? And I also spoke about this yesterday in one of the groups. I think now that the final is over, you'll see us accelerate certain things. And if you're in the relegation zone at Christmas, does you get the sack? Absolutely,
100%.
But we'll have, like, that's nonsensical. Like, you know,
that's a given.
That's a given. But
that's most managers.
I don't believe. Yeah, that's Southampton if it's them. So why wouldn't it be Man United? But what I will say is, I think you might see us accelerate a few things now, because I feel like there was two different routes we were going to take. When we look at recruitment. Now, what I do feel was Cunha was probably part of both routes. How do we know that? Well, we've gone and pretty much done the deal already. So that deal was in place regardless of...
Any fear at all that it might not happen? No?
No, none.
Cool.
No, none at all. I think it's, the player has agreed, and the breakdown of the fee and stuff like that with Wolves has been agreed. It's going to be done. What day are we? Thursday? League season is over on Sunday. I imagine it'll be done and dusted by Friday. Yeah. Not last year. We won an FA Cup, though. Or the year before, we won a Carabao. You still didn't win that. You're a small club. Get out of me, chat. But I think there was 2 avenues that we were possibly going to go down. And I think one of the reasons we didn't table or at least go and have the conversation with Liam Delap yet was, I think, maybe at the back of everyone's mind, if we win the Europa, we get the bump in the money and we get the Champions League, what's to stop us adding 25 on top of the 30 that we're adding for the lap and go and get the boy Gyökeres? I think that would have probably been at the back of the mind. And I mentioned it, and there was a couple of United lads thought, you know what, I think that sounds fairly
absolutely
plausible.
100%. There's no doubt there was a transfer window plan if we win and if we don't win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think Cunha was part of both of those, because he was the kind that he's probably going to be our gem. That's what we're going to get this season. We're going to get our this. That's why this is the gem we're going to get this summer, hopefully. We're getting Matheus Cunha. And we're going to pair him with Bruno Fernandes, and we're going to put the 2 of them as a combo behind whoever it is. And I think we'll accelerate now on the lap. I think after the lap and Cunha, the next deal you'll see will be a goalkeeper. I would be shocked as shit. I'm not sure if it'll be sold as a number 1, but they'll buy a keeper. And I think when they buy a keeper, not a Freddie Woodman, I think that'll be done as well. But I think when they go and they look to try and get a keeper, I think this will be for solidity at the back. Because I think there's way too much going on at the back there for, say, the 5 lads that have to play in front. Because don't forget, a huge preface of the system is to have 3 centre-backs, which allows 2 wing-backs to go forward. Now, if you're playing with 3 centre-backs, and all 3 of those lads and look over their shoulder and go, fucking hell, I don't fancy giving it to him. You're now in trouble. You've calamity.
That system needs an Allison or an Edison there. So that,
listen, it will absolutely. Well, you see, Allison and Edison Allison and they're very different, and Edison are very different than a Matt Sells. Matt Sells isn't a feety kind of goalkeeper. Forest don't go and play football from the back, tiki-taka style, the way Liverpool and City do. We look at the 2 boys kind of as sweeper keepers, but we certainly need somebody who can control a box like that. And Matt Sells. Now, as the lovely gentleman in the chat has mentioned, there's been a huge amount spoken about Emi Martinez, which I find a little bit strange. Not for any reason other than the fact, I think if you're looking to build and recruit a certain way, I think Emi Martinez is completely against what we've been trying to do over the last 2 windows with age profile and with wage structure and things like that. Like, Martinez is going to come in, he's of a certain ilk. He might not be old in goalkeeper terms, but he will certainly be a very senior member of the squad. And he's also going to come in and command quite large wages, because don't forget, he's got a lot of stuff going from Emi Martinez. He's very marketable. He's got golden gloves behind him at World Cups and stuff like that. So I don't think he's coming in on the cheap, if that makes sense. I'm not sure. So I don't know if we'll go that way. I think guys we've spoken about, I think the three big names they spoke about, I'm gonna get one of them wrong. It's Lammers.
Yeah.
He's a Belgian keeper. I think he's at Antwerp. Very, very Thibaut Courtois-y, not just being Belgium. I'm going to put in Lammers here and hopefully I get more. Is it Lammers? Have I got it right? Lammens. I have it wrong. Senne Lammens. He does play in goal for Royal Antwerp. He's 22 years of age. He'll be 23 in July. GP, that's nasty, brother.
He thought about Morris is coming.
Yeah, he is, I know.
Yeah.
Senne Lammens is this kid's name. He's been linked. I think the boy James Trafford has been linked. And I think the boy Joan Garcia at Espanyol has been linked. I'd be surprised if it's not one of them three. Because the things, they're very, very similar. They're all built very similarly. They're all quite tall goalkeepers. Onana's not a tall goalkeeper. I think the boys are all 6'3" or above. So they're big, they're commanding figures. I think all three of the boys, Garcia, Trafford, and Lammens, are all quite good with their feet. So it suits playing out, and they can play quite high and be that extra kind of centre back if needs be. I don't think Emi Martinez fits the bill for what we want to do. Now, of a 10-year-old in the other room who will literally lose his mind if we sign Emi Martinez, so I would love it for him. Yeah. Don't forget we had to go and watch Aston Villa this season so he could see Emi Martinez. So this would make my life very easy. But I don't see it happening. I think it's a massive stretch.
Yeah, it was kind of a link out of nowhere, and then it didn't gather any pace really either. Sure, didn't it? Kind of went.
Well, there was obviously huge. Was obviously a huge deal made of how he came off the pitch the last day at Villa Park, where there seemed to be an awful lot of tears and an awful lot of waving goodbye to the crowd. And obviously this weekend Villa are away for their last game and stuff like that. So it did look like he was saying goodbye. The link with United, I'm not sure where he came. I think if you're looking at Emi Martinez and the possible places that he lands, I think it's got to be Saudi. I think it has to be. I think he's been bought by one of the big Saudi teams, and that he's having an absolute fortune thrown at him because he's a World Cup winning goalkeeper. He's a Golden Glove winning goalkeeper at the World Cup. He's a big character. He brings a lot of presence to the league, and Villa could probably do quite well out of it. I don't see him landing too many other places.
Yeah, you would think so, and obviously, maybe. They've obviously both been offered big wage, and obviously they've both decided, listen, this is the way to go for both of us. And what do you make, Everest, there? With no major cup competition to play and PSR issues, would United be able to make big money signings next season? Their finances, from what I've heard, is in an absolute pits.
Yeah, listen, I think finances, especially when you're at United, is something that can change quite rapidly because of the deals that can be on the table. Something we've done very, very well over the last number of years was bring money into the club through commercial deals. And I expect that to continue, to be honest. I think what we're missing out on the football side, we're slightly more than making up for on the commercial side. I think the issue is commercially, you've got to be pulling your weight on the football pitch to command some of the fees, and that's where teams are gonna or companies are gonna look and say, "Oh, not sure, are they what?" But here's the thing, and don't forget this: more than any other team this season, even with Liverpool winning the league title, even with Arsenal the run they've been on the Champions League, Spurs winning their trophy, Newcastle win the trophy, in the depths of how bad United were this season, there's been no club spoken about any more than Man United.
Yeah.
So from a commercial point of view, if your cameras are getting pointed onto that product, you're getting more spotlight than most.
Yeah, I suppose the issue is if the spotlight is more negative than positive, does it help or hinder the brand?
Ain't no
Yeah.
stuff as bad. It's not bad for business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you always want your brand. If you own a brand, you want that associated with success. You know what I mean?
Listen, you do, but don't forget somebody puts their shirt sponsorships on everything every year.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So there is levels to that.
Yeah.
Now I understand completely that they'll want it, but sometimes it can be cool by association. And you can get yourself to be a little bit cooler by being associated to one of the biggest clubs in football. And as bad as we've been this season, we're still one of the biggest clubs in football. And that won't change overnight or anytime soon, by the way.
Yeah, Everest, if a player has any sense of morals, they wouldn't go to United now, neither for the legacy nor for the wages. I don't know.
I don't think you're going for wages because I think the way they're going to restructure the wages, I don't think it'll be the place to be for money. However, I think for legacy, you've never had a better opportunity to create a legacy than go to Manchester United.
I think for your players that you're targeting, the likes of Cunha and Delap and all, there would be a massive uplift in wages. Even if you're hitting at the 150 mark, say, or whatever it is, that's a big thing for those boys.
There will be, but I think for some of the guys, like I think if you're Liam Delap and you have United, Chelsea, and Newcastle, who are apparently the three that are hottest on his heels, I think United are probably going to offer the smallest bag.
Well, I suppose when you roll up the whole package and you talk about potentially those two teams have a Champions League as well, and
I think wage wise, they'll be able to offer more money. Chelsea and Newcastle will be able to offer more money. Because don't forget, Newcastle have Callum Wilson out of contract in the summer. So Newcastle need reinforcements for Alexander Isak, and they can spend, a 30 to 35 million is a very menial fee for a guy like that.
If you look at Newcastle as well, even with the money they have, they're still frugal enough with it.
It's not that they're frugal; they can't get round PSR. That's the problem.
No, but what I mean is, even up to a certain level and all, like they're not bashing it out the door in terms of cash at times.
They can't.
Stuff,
They can't, but they'll certainly be able to, again, with Champions League football and stuff like that. They'll certainly be able to offer more money wage-wise than we would.
Mania cancelled New Orleans and heading back to Vegas.
We didn't see it's been heading back to Vegas, Morris. Is that news or is that you having a punt at where it's going?
Wishing.
Yeah, because we saw it got cancelled in New Orleans, but we didn't see anything about where it was headed just yet.
Philip, they absolutely are. There's no doubt about that. But the issue is as well, you have to remember this as well. You always want your brand. There's implications on the branding contracts as well. That if you achieve European football and if you're in the Champions League or the Europa League or whatever it is, the sponsorship deals have things built into those contracts as well. The other thing I would say as well is it's no different than if you're sponsoring a golfer and he's using your clubs and he keeps on missing the cup. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's not exactly the case. Man United is still a huge brand, but still, Arteta will go for Isaac and get Wilson.
I don't think anybody's getting Alexander Isak out of Newcastle this summer.
What about if they miss out on Champions League?
Newcastle? I don't think they're missing out.
Well, we will be coming to that because we're about to talk about it shortly. But
yeah, I think there's an awful lot would have to go wrong for Newcastle to not get Champions League football.
That's why I'm quite excited about Sunday. There's a lot of jeopardy on Sunday as well.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see like Chelsea and Forest are playing each other. So that kind of throws one of them out of the reckoning straight away. You'd have to imagine Newcastle at home versus Everton. Everton make it tough, by the way. Real tough. A great end of the season with David Moyes and obviously saying goodbye to Goodison last week. So Everton won't make it easy. But I just think I just think Newcastle do enough. Hopefully, Morris, although we saw how difficult it can be to get tickets to wrestling events in our fair capital.
Absolutely. Keith, that's obviously an inevitable question is how long that stagnancy will continue. Look at Leeds or Blackburn. Yeah, no, it is true, like, and it is. And the other thing that you have to be conscious of as well, you have a lot of young kids now who are going through and coming through football and stuff like that and all. And young kids, apart from being influenced about at home and stuff like that, they're also influenced. They also want to follow success. You know what I mean as well. So, when you think about...
you're not going to put Man United in the brackets of Leeds and Blackburn.
No, not at all. That's not what I meant. What I meant was if you...
No, I'm talking about Everest, because, let's be honest here. Leeds was run by one of the most culpable businessmen, of all time in Peter Ridsdale. He absolutely destroyed Leeds United on his own with the deals that he saddled the club with. And with the lackluster approach to finance, it was utterly disgraceful. So that ain't going to happen now. PSR had made sure clubs cannot run the way Leeds was run then. And Blackburn, your issue was you had Sir Jack, and Sir Jack dipped into the pocket, threw the bag, picked up what he wanted. And when Sir Jack left the building, they've had shit owner after shit owner after
everything left the building with
and it's dripped and drabbed and dripped and drabbed. So that can't really happen at Man United. It just can't, unfortunately. And as much as you might like it to, but it just can't.
Absolutely. Keaton, do you think Liverpool are going to get Florian Wirtz?
Asking me?
Yeah, I read an article yesterday. Apparently, Bayern Munich are out of the deal as well.
Oh, I don't think so. Me personally, I would be very surprised if he ended up at Liverpool for no other reason than finances.
Apparently, Michael Edwards flew to Boston the other day to meet with John Henry on the finances.
You know my thoughts around Liverpool's finances. I don't think Florian Wirtz is the kind of deal that Liverpool go balls to the wall for.
If they did it, how would you feel?
It wouldn't have a huge impact on me because I'm not a Liverpool fan, but it would shock me.
But in terms of stepping out of that and all, and obviously trying to put... Yeah.
It would shock me. It really, really would. I think if you look at the most probable two deals that they're going to do, Jeremy Frimpong, it's a good deal for Liverpool, right? It's a good deal. It's done at a certain level. I even like the theory behind it. Now, I have heard, and again, we talk about sources. I have heard that there's some Liverpool fans that aren't overly enamoured by the prospect of Jeremy Frimpong, right?
Then they're fools.
For two particular reasons. Yeah. You would say they're fools, but he doesn't play in the system that Liverpool play. Yeah.
But Liverpool this year are not going to play last year's system.
They're going to change the system completely.
Not completely, but they are going to tweak the system because the talk going out there. Are you going to
play four at the back?
I think he's going to tweak that slightly. I think there's a clever way about Jeremy Frimpong as well, because Frimpong also is very good as a wing back.
Well, he is a wing back. That's his job.
Yeah.
So that's where people are talking. They're saying he's a wing back. You can't buy him for a flat back four, which Liverpool play.
Yeah.
So
I think in reality you see that on a page. Sorry, I think when you see that on a page, I think in reality it doesn't necessarily pan out that way.
Well, he's a very, very attacking wing back. Now, some have said, well, then it suits Liverpool down to the ground because they also had a guy who was about to leave the building who had the clause for lunch at the right back slot. So you're basically replacing like for like. Now, the other talk is that apparently the procurement of Frimpong is to aid Liverpool both sides of the ball, because he'll be the number 2 choice in both positions at right back and at right-sided forward.
Correct.
Because with Trent leaving the building, Bradley is going to be the starting fullback, and Mo will be the right-sided forward. Chiesa will exit the building, and Frimpong will cover both positions at various times.
And we do like a versatile player.
You do. Yeah. And that's right. So I'm just telling you what some of the... Now,
100%.
I thought... Yeah. So that for me is an easy deal, though. There's a very low buyout clause. It's 35 million. Right? There's very little can go wrong with that deal. Even if he comes in and falls on his face, you're getting 25 to get him out even, right? So the level of risk is so low. Then you look at the opposite side, and with it being one of the biggest issues at Liverpool this year, that left back slot has to be solved, and they've gone to probably best in class in the league and gone, this is the best left back we can find in the Premier League who plays on a flat back 4. We're going to buy him, and he's going to cost us 50 million, and this is the deal we're going to do. And he's proved it in the league. He's of a very good age that he can grow and get better, and it's an easy deal to do. Again, if he does really, really well in 2-3 years' time, are you talking about Real Madrid throwing 80 million at him? Possibly. Who knows?
Are you surprised if these 2 deals get over the line at how easy potentially they've Liverpool has done the deals, and that other people haven't? This hasn't gotten into a bidding war with other people, stuff that now. I know other people are slightly
listen, here's the thing. Well, everybody's got a budget, right? And Liverpool now, part of their budget has to go on a right and a left back. Trent is leaving, and the left back position is the biggest problem at Liverpool. So these are the 2 positions. Fullbacks may be much further down the list for other teams. Frimpong is easy because he has a buyout clause, and it's very easy to hit the clause. And then if you hit the clause, it's up to Frimpong where he goes. Now, Liverpool then are a huge draw. Other than Liverpool in today's climate, how many other teams can draw ahead of Liverpool right now on the planet?
What are you looking at? Real, Barca?
There's not loads. So if I'm Jeremy Frimpong, excuse me, and Real don't come in for me, which they're not because they just bought Trent. And Barca don't come in for me because they've got Jules Koundé and they're happy enough, and they're not going to spend that kind of money on a defender.
And the whole Dutch connection there at Liverpool.
So if that's not the case, if the next one on the list for me is Liverpool and they come in, I'm going to Liverpool. So that's easy. That's easy. Yeah. The Kirkes one is slightly different because obviously there'll be a few teams want to throw, but 50 million is a lot of money for a left back for most teams. It's not for Liverpool because it's the glaringly obvious hole in the team. And to plaster it up, you may as well plaster it properly like they did with Van Dijk and like they did with Alisson. So they're adding another one of those big pieces into the puzzle to allow everything around to work.
And you're unlikely to unearth another Andy Robertson in the fashion that we did, of course, as well.
Highly unlikely, I would have said.
Absolutely. We can never trust FSG to spend that much for one player. Do you know something, though? I'm not saying they wouldn't. And remember, Florian Wirtz coming in as well. What age is Florian Wirtz? 22 or something? 23?
Thought he was 23, but
23. So it's you're talking about potentially bringing in a player there that could be there for 6-7 years.
I'll be absolutely shocked if Florian Wirtz joins Liverpool. I will be shocked.
I suppose he
just went 22 on his 3rd of May.
Yeah, so there you go. But the other side of that as well is it depends on the structure of the deal as well. And we know how good Michael Edwards is at this kind of stuff as well, and with Richard Hughes there. So this could be 100 million or 120 million or whatever it is. but the structure of the deal might lend itself that Liverpool can do it. So
it's like, here's the thing: all deals now are structured that way, and this is what you heard from Sir Jim a few weeks ago when he spoke about. We got to play Anthony money. We've got to pay Onana money. We've got to pay. We're paying for those deals this summer, regardless of what we spend. So those deals are all structured like that. So you're not getting any bonuses for it. You're still coughing up 100 odd million. And that's the thing that I don't think Liverpool will do. If you're spending 80 million on two fullbacks, 80 to 85 million, do I think they're going to spend 110, 115 million on a Florian Wirtz?
Which would be 200 million.
Which would be 200 million. Unless they've already signed a deal to get Darwin out the door for 80 and recoup a huge amount of that straight away, I'd be surprised. And they may have, because don't forget, the boys came in January, they put money on the table. There might have been a conversation, we can't do it now, lads. We're going to agree it now. It'll happen in the summer. You'll take him for 75. We'll take the cash. He'll leave the building. He'll win a league title. Everyone's winner. Grand job. Thanks very much. I don't know. Maybe it's been done already. Who knows?
Yeah,
and we do know that there's other jewels at Liverpool that will possibly leave. Queven Kelleher will 100% leave. The likelihood is Tsimikas will leave. You're probably looking at Endo leaving. You've definitely got Darwin to leave. You've possibly got Jota. And then depending on what other crown jewels you can get in the door and what's available, you might decide to let a Luis Diaz leave because you can bring a Wirtz and a striker. So, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
crazy to think, though. Crazy to think you could be looking at Liverpool with 6 new players next season after winning the league title. That's big upheaval for a league title winning team.
Yeah, but we've also fallen on our sword when we've been successful that we don't do
No, and I get that. But you're also looking at 2 starting fullbacks, possibly. Because Bradley will be a new fullback. And Kirkes. And you might need a midfielder and a striker. So all of a sudden you 4-5 players in that.
And the story going around is they want to get all their business done in this 10-day window. So Slot has a full pre-season.
I don't see anyone getting all their stuff done in 10 days.
That's what the talk is at the moment. That's why they're hustling around at the moment. Some of these deals are lying at the moment with the information that's coming out,
I just think there's so many teams that are going to refuse to do business in this very, very small window because you have a much bigger one that opens later on and the panic is lessened. So why would we do the deal now and put pressure on ourselves for this and make it stressful? I don't think you're going to see loads. You will see a bit, but I don't think you'll see loads.
Well, you see a lot of teams at the moment are doing an awful lot of pre-contract stuff at the moment. Like you look at your deal with Cunha. You've obviously done a lot of work on that up till this point. We're not even in the window.
You see, again, with the likes of Acuna and Jeremy Frimpong, there is it's made easier by the release clause. You're not then going and having to what? What's going on here?
By the way, if anyone wants to mention Caicedo, I still think it was an eye wash. I think when he would, like that, it was. I don't think we. I think when we threw down the money, when we knew we were going to be refused. I think John Henry would have had a fucking heart attack if Caicedo actually had said, "Yeah, I'm coming to Liverpool." In reality, that 115 million, whatever it was.
How good do you think he would have been in the Liverpool team?
Oh, he would have been outstanding. I would have thought he'd be outstanding.
I think so.
I mean, he's outstanding in the Chelsea team.
And their shit is my point.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I mean, you can never tell, but I mean, you would have thought.
No, of course you can't. But I mean, if he plays the Ryan Gravenberch role this season, how well do you think? And not taking away from Gravenberch, he's been superb.
Yeah.
But how well do you think he does play in that Gravenberch role for Liverpool? I think he'd be unfucking naturally good. Have to tell you.
Yeah. I think
Uh-huh.
Shado's one of those players that like he'll walk into any team and be exceptional. He's
I think
just
so.
that good a baller. He's that kind of honest
Do you know
footballer
what?
out there as well. He
Do
wants
you know
to be
what
really good.
kind of surprises me a little bit? Very, very surprised. City haven't looked at him more.
Shado.
Yeah.
With those debt row contracts, it's going to take a fortune to get him out of there. No, sure. Wasn't there links with Enzo Fernandez yesterday being linked with a move to Real Madrid, and apparently the talk was 120 million if you want to get him out of the contract. Now, I think if you slap down 80, I think Chelsea would probably take it.
No, well, you don't forget they paid 105 for him.
Yeah,
so
but
they're going to look for
how long have they had him now? 2 years?
2 years, maybe. The length of the contract doesn't have a huge impact on what they want from him. Like, if you want 120 from him, you want because that's how you value the player.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but partly that's partly related to the contract. If you've already had him 2 years on 105, then he's probably valued on the books now at about what 80, 75.
It depends what. No, well, if the deal was over 8 years, then he's still got 80 odd million. He's still got about 80 million on the books.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. If you slap down that, you might get him out of there.
Maybe. But if they value him at 120 and they've only 80 on the books, they're looking for money back guarantee nearly. And that's where I think it'll be difficult, you know.
That's nonsense. That can't be right, Philip. Should we have 100 million just come in from the Champions League and we didn't spend a penny?
Yeah, but it might be 100 million plus sales.
Plus outgoings, yeah, maybe.
And that like wouldn't be miles away from what I'd be thinking. And I've said this months ago, regardless of, and I know how much money you are taking in from winnings and from how you did, but you don't tend to spend that amount.
Yeah, that's definitely not happening. 100%. There's no way that's going to happen.
Now, hypothetically speaking, would you take him?
Not this season or last season's version of him.
Well, you don't get to choose what version of him you want. Like, this isn't, you know,
listen,
version 1 or version 2. If he comes in the summer and he's FOC free of charge, and he's
that's never the case.
Well, you're not paying us, you're not buying him.
No, but whether we're handing the money to him or handing the money City, we're handing money. He's not coming in for free.
Well, he is free. You're going to pay him. You're going to pay him a signing on fee. It's different. You're not buying him.
Yeah, but
you know, he gets the signing on fee as part 10% of whatever the fee the City gets, so it's different. But if he comes in and you're paying him whatever, let's say you're paying him a £15 million signing on fee, and he's on 250 bags a week, are you taking him?
No. Most of the season, he's probably going to be on a stretcher.
And I'm only asking him. I'm not.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Listen, we have the same dilemma with Jota. Jota's an unbelievable footballer. He can't stay fit. You know what I mean? If Jota could stay fit for 30, 40, 50 games a season, he'd be unreal. There's no way we need that. We can't take that on. Listen, if anyone thought that this guy was going to hold up and he wasn't going to pick up more injuries and the issues with his hamstrings and all that kind of stuff and all, City wouldn't necessarily be letting him go this easy.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, he's just shy of 34. So it ain't like he's young.
He's not on Liverpool's radar at all.
I wouldn't. It was just a question. Todd's gone quiet at Chelsea. Has a little bit. I think he'd no choice to really, because he was dribbling on his own bit, wasn't he?
Yeah. Grav would have been let go because Shado came, which could have led to a different outcome. But I do want... Well, originally Grav was brought in, wasn't he? Wasn't he brought in potentially in that right back position? As far as I know. He wasn't brought in as a 6.
He was brought in as a midfielder. He wasn't brought in as a right back.
I thought the talk was before, obviously, we uncovered Conor Bradley. I thought
He was never brought in as a right back.
Well, he was never brought to the club as a 6.
He may have been brought as an 8. He was brought as a midfielder, though.
Yeah. But I don't want squad depth for our club so we can fight for a. I do want squad depth so we can fight for a club. We can fight for trophies without worrying about injuries. That's the sweet spot for everyone, isn't it? Big up Morris. He said not a hope. Yeah, absolutely not a hope. No chance at all. KDB will be very high wage considering his age. KDB's off. He's going to Saudi or the MLS or somewhere like that. Slow it down, keep the pace down, and
like surely he is absolutely made to go and. Is that somebody snoring?
Yeah, it's the dog behind me.
Jesus. It's surely made for KDB to head off and play a season or two with Messi down in Inter Miami now.
Possibly. Or maybe he spoke a lot about the generational wealth and the riches of Saudi to go there for a couple of seasons. So
he's dead right.
That might be his move at this stage.
Go and take the bag, KDB. Go and take it.
Well, we'll run down this quickly because we're well over the hour at this stage.
We will.
Do you want to focus mainly on the games that have?
No, sure. Listen, we'll go real quick. Bournemouth.
Yeah.
3-0.
Cool.
City 2-1.
Okay.
West Ham and Ipswich a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
I have to upset you now. Palace to nick you off on Sunday 1-0 again.
Well, everyone else is beating us at the moment, aren't they? So
yeah. So I think
we'll see.
Aston Villa 2-1.
Aston Villa 2-1. Okay.
Yep. I think it'll be very, very flat, very, very dull.
Newcastle, Everton.
I think Newcastle will beat Everton. I think Newcastle will beat Everton. I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle. They just squeak over the line. I don't think it'll be easy. Everton are resilient, but I think Newcastle have enough. Anthony Gordon, Jacob Murphy, Harvey Barnes. Hopefully Isaac is back, and Callum Wilson, Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes. Newcastle.
Yeah.
I think Morris might have hit the nail on the head with the next one. I think this could legitimately happen. I think this has draw written all over it. And as he said, with a draw there, if City, Newcastle and Villa all win, which I think they will, Chelsea and Forest will finish 6th and 7th.
That's mad, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah.
I
think Villa. Yeah. I think we're going Liverpool. I think we're going Arsenal.
No.
I think we're going City, Newcastle, and Villa.
So practically as you are, is it? Is that the standings at the moment, or is Chelsea above Villa? Are they?
Chelsea are above Villa. Chelsea are in 5th. They're level on points of Villa.
So Forest and Chelsea have to go for this, don't they? This could be a cracking game.
I don't think it will be. I think it has like 1-1 written all over. Stalemate, draw.
Do you think so? With a draw being no bet, they know.
I know, but like I don't think anyone's going to throw it away either.
Yeah, that's a good shout, Everest. I think it just depends on the level of the riches and what he wants to do. He has spoken about Saudi a couple of times, and even last summer as well, it came up as a conversation. So we'll see. We shall see. Interesting. Well, you may have to invest on a noise cancelling in the future. He's not normally up here. He's only up here the odd time, and he hangs out with the others. But man,
I don't think he's wrong. There's some serious. Yeah, it sounds like a bleeding Hoover in your bedroom.
Yeah, it keeps us awake, doesn't it? Keep on going, and then Southampton, Arsenal.
Arsenal by the odd goal or three.
Spurs to beat Brighton with the parade.
No.
Push United to 17th.
No.
No?
No.
Surely they'll whip out the trophy, have the parade, and
parade is
place will be rocking on Sunday. No,
parade's tomorrow.
No, I mean parade the trophy at the stadium and all.
It doesn't matter. They're gonna have 48 hours on the gargle, man. It's a nothing game for them. I think Brighton is written all over it.
Yeah.
I think Brighton and Villa are the two biggest fucking dead certs of the weekend because of what they're playing against.
I don't know. Maybe a half gargle Spurs team might perform better.
I doubt it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I doubt it. And then in the last game, I'm going for Brentford to nick an L. Brentford to get one against the head against our Wolves fan, Ryan.
Right. Quick predictions. At Lone Cove.
Division 1? Where's the Premier League?
I'm starting with Division 1 because that's what I had on my screen.
Jesus. Athlone or Cove, is it?
Yeah.
Cove.
Bray Wanderers, Wexford.
Bray Wanderers.
Dundalk, Kerry.
Dundalk. Is Rabin Andrade? No, but there's 2 D's in Dundalk.
Ben Harps, UCD.
Finn Harps.
And Treaty, Longford.
Treaty.
Right. Premier Division.
Which we did very well with, by the way, last week.
That's right. You did. Just missed out on one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. The only one was Galway. Galway.
Derry Shamrock Rovers.
Rovers.
Draw the Bows.
Draw.
Galway Cork. Galway who let you down.
Draw.
Shelbourne Sligo.
Shells.
And St. Pat's Waterford.
St. Pat's.
Okay, that's that. And then, of course, this weekend, for the riches.
This is real tough for me. This is head versus heart.
Tell me who you think and tell me who you want them.
I think if you look at the two teams over the course of the season, Sheffield United can consider themselves quite unlucky to be in the playoffs. They almost grabbed an automatic spot. So,
yeah.
And they come up against two of the best sides the Championship has seen in recent years in Sheffield, in Leeds and Burnley. So, my head says Sheffield United, but my heart says Sunderland. I would love to see the Black Cats back. Really, really would. If you've watched the Netflix documentary on Sunderland, them boys love their football. They absolutely eat and drink football. Good working class people. Love a game of football on a Saturday afternoon at 3:00. Few points, a curry, and everybody's a winner, baby. So I would love to see Sunderland win. I think it'll be a tough day at the office. I think if Sunderland were to go through, something would have to go wrong for Sheffield United. Sending off, penalty, something hokey has to. It's the only way I see Sunderland getting through is something hokey. Might happen. We've seen it happen before. I would love to see Sunderland go through. Yeah, I think Ryan's probably not miles away. Sheffield United are pretty decent at the back. Huge day for a lot of those big promising. Yeah, absolutely. It was a couple of good young promising footballers in that Sunderland team. Obviously Joby Bellingham, Chris Rigg, Wilson Isidore. So lots of good footballers on show. But I think Sheffield United just have a bit more know-how about them. They're just a bit more ready than Sunderland there.
So we could end up with 4 birds and a black cat.
Could be a good year.
Could be. Yeah. So I don't know. We probably didn't do. Did you do bets? I didn't do any bets anyway. You didn't either. No. We'll skip bets this week anyway. No harm.
Didn't I didn't have it in me.
We didn't partake.
Didn't have it.
I'm saying, look, any bets weekend, Niall or Dazzler. I didn't do any. I didn't even get to look today. I didn't get a chance. And I'm sure you were still a little bit traumatized from last night.
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
It's a bit of both. I was extremely busy, but I was also a little bit dejected. Is that the word? What's he like?
Oh, God. He's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he? Arteta always wins the league in his 10th season.
But do you know who I got the most heat off today? I think I told you about this. An Arsenal fan. An Arsenal fan gave me more grief today than the Liverpool fans, than the City fans, than the Spurs fans. An Arsenal fan. I said, pal, do you not know what you're celebrating? You're celebrating your greatest rivals winning a trophy before you did, and you've got your chest out because they did it against Man United. Do you have a look in the fucking mirror at yourself, pal? The state you cop on. Jesus, wept.
There was the talk yesterday. I seen some of the footage from the fan parks and stuff like that and all, and it was weird as well because it was such a dilemma, obviously, for Arsenal fans. You know what I mean, with the rivalry with United, and on top of that,
it wasn't. No, it wasn't the dilemma.
But there was because
for
there was
Arsenal fans.
I know, yeah. I know.
The fucking North London derby. They're your greatest rivals, and you're telling me you'd issue with United winning? Cop on, will you?
It wasn't.
Jesus.
We can confirm, Morris, it wasn't you. We can confirm.
I can absolutely confirm it wasn't you, Morris. However,
I heard, Morris, you did throw a few jabs though. That's the only thing.
There was a few little. There was a bit of sprinkling going on. I think Morris was hoping I was gonna pick up some breadcrumbs, but I didn't do that. But you know what I did do? Just so I can show you. I decided there was only going to be one way to get this particular Arsenal fan back. Because, of course, he was good man, Morris. Makes sense, yeah? Makes sense. Makes sense in my head.
Not if you came out with the Champions League money and you signed your man Victor, your case. Arsenal's target.
I was obviously upset and I needed to get this lad back. And I'll tell you who this lad is. He's a cousin of mine. I've mentioned him here before. He's a cousin called Paul. Here's Paul. The Emirates. This Arsenal jersey. As happy as Larry.
Yeah. No way.
I got a shirt swap for him. I got a shirt swap for him just for Paul so he could celebrate. I said he's the biggest Spurs fan in the Emirates. There you are, Paul.
Jesus.
Pal of mine was able to do a shirt swap on him for me. And I posted it on his Instagram and tagged him.
What was the reaction to that?
Oh. What is he doing? Oh, God. I think he needs a bit of time, Morris. Yeah. I think he needs a bit of time and he needs a window and he needs people to get off his fucking back. And I think after that, we'll judge the man on what he does. I think, listen, we'll have this conversation maybe the week before Christmas or the week after, and then we'll know where we are.
Yeah,
week before Christmas.
Right. Well, until then, enjoy the football at the weekend, folks. It's going to be an absolute belter, this top 5 race. I'm really looking forward to it on there.
I ain't going to enjoy it. There's no point in lying.
No, No, we have to enjoy it for what it is. The only thing left, relegation's done. The league was done probably around last September. I'd imagine his mates are kicking him out of that group chat.
I was trying to I was like, what self-respect an Arsenal fan supports fucking Spurs? Are you okay? Like, Jesus Christ. I don't know.
They've never forgiven you for that fair gear against Wenger. Never forgiven you.
I had something quite funny happen in work though.
Go on.
So there's a little City fan comes on a Thursday.
No.
And after they lost to Palace, he must have said, I ain't going to tennis on Thursday. Darren will have the shotgun out. Because there's a little bit of friendly fire.
Okay.
And this morning I got a text message from his mum saying, such and such can't come to tennis today. Really sorry. And I had a chuckle to myself. And he must have come in from school and started getting ready for tennis. And she says, I'm already after telling him you couldn't go. And I got a second message say, actually, he's now available. He'll be there. And he rocked up with the jersey on, as happy as Larry in the City jersey. I says, bleeding neck of you coming in here with that City jersey after Palace tourneys over and Tickley the weekend. Could have been worse. We could have lost the Spurs in the European final, he says.
Oh, God.
Start running, kid, and don't stop till you turn colour.
Yeah. 10 laps and down a few burpees, a whole lot and all. Yeah, absolutely. You will not be hitting tennis balls for the next hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good
I
bit
love
of,
that,
good bit of
though.
crack.
I do love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
good crack.
That's all about, isn't it?
And,
Right, folks.
and you heard about poor Browdy, didn't you?
I did.
Poor Browdy was a tough one. Poor Browdy was a tough one. He didn't take it very well now, I have to tell you. He didn't take he took it to heart, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I've experienced it.
It was kind of like, oh, I tell you, he took it to heart.
No, it's rough, yeah.
But he brought it through the day with him today as well. He carried it on his back for the whole day. And it was just one of them days. I think now it's over. He might wake up in the morning and feel normal again. He maybe won't, who knows.
He might be a good bet for a red card at the weekend, would he?
He's playing tomorrow night.
Definitely lump on.
I'd say
bet the farm on a red card.
I'd say he's a model for a red card tomorrow night. He'd put his hand behind him, be hit around someone's neck if he opened his mouth to him.
Yeah. Come out for a ball and just dig someone in the head. Yeah, absolutely. Big up Brody. It's good that you care that much. It's good that you care that much.
Oh, it was, and he was really like, it was chest out. Mammy decided she was going to wind them up a little bit because Mammy's side of the family would be they're Liverpool fans.
That's okay.
And she said, it's okay, sweetheart. This was last night when he was in the throes of it. She says, it's okay, sweetheart. Don't worry. We'll get you a Liverpool jersey for next season. It was like a red rag to a bull.
Mo Salah jersey incoming.
Oh, he was not a happy camper, I can tell you. And then you know what happened? In typical wife fashion, I got the blame for it. How's it my fault he lost the Spurs? Well, it's not your fault, but you getting that shit football team.
Shots fired all night long.
Imagine your wife going in on you like that after losing the European Cup final. Tell you what,
she's been not wrong.
It's been a tough 24 hours.
She's not wrong. Rosanna knows our ball. She knows our ball.
I tell you.
That's for sure. Right, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. We'll be back after the weekend, consoling after the end of season shows that we do, as we always do, picking our teams and standouts and all that kind of stuff. So
I'll give you a clue with mine. There won't be any fucking Spurs players in it.
And your favourite show will be coming up soon as well.
What's that one?
The new kits.
Oh, I do love that.
Yeah. And we have the fixture list coming out. So we've
did we see Arsenal's new kit the other night?
So not just the same.
I saw somebody in a group chat say, took me 75 minutes to realise they had a new kit on. It looks so fucking similar.
Yeah. I have to say, new Liverpool Adidas ones look.
And they're going to charge you 100 quid for the privilege of the Arsenal one, which look the same as this season's.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Liverpool ones yet.
I seen the black goalkeeper one looks the business.
I haven't seen any yet. I will. I'll reserve judgment until I see it.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be impressed because I know you like Adidas. So
I sure do.
there you go. Right, folks, enjoy the football of the weekend. Dazza, who's winning the French Open?
Alcaraz.
There we go. Their own fans can't even keep up with that many. That's a fact. That's a fact. Right, folks. Talk to you soon. Cheers, pal.